In the past, Gaius battles against a dragon and mourns the limitations of his first crest while reflecting on the abilities of the other 3 crests. It is during this moment that Gaius casts a spell to reincarnate himself. In the present, Gaius has transformed into a young teenage boy named Matthias and possesses the crest he always desired, the 4th crest, as he travels on a wagon toward the capital. His aim is to take the entrance examination for the academy located there. While on the way to their destination, Matthias detects the presence of a calamity-ranked monster in the vicinity. The wagon driver dismisses Matthias's assertion, but when a large tiger-like creature confronts them, Matthias swiftly addresses the threat, leaving the driver amazed. Upon arriving at the capital, Matthias enters a weapon shop, where Alma implores the shop owner Bice to mend her friend's shattered magical sword. However, Bice declines to repair it, stating that it is beyond his capabilities. Intrigued by the swords available in the shop, Matthias eavesdrops on the discussion between the two, and when Alma seeks a new sword, he offers to enchant it for her. Even though he lacks the proper crest for the task, Alma insists he proceed with the magistone she carries. Bice attempts to caution Alma against allowing Matthias to enchant the sword, but Alma believes in his abilities. They then sit at a table and introduce themselves, with Matthias requesting to be called Maddie rather than Matthias. During their exchange, Alma's friend Luri arrives, and Alma introduces Maddie to her. Once Bice completes the work on Luri's sword, Maddie quickly enchants it, astonishing everyone with his rapid execution. Just as Luri is about to test it, she accidentally slices the table they were using in half, shocking everyone present. Claiming that he performed a simple enchantment, Bice acknowledges that Maddie not only accomplished the task quickly, but did so without a chant. He then inquires if Maddie would like to pursue a career as an enchanter, but Maddie outright declines. On the day of the exam, Maddie encounters Luri and Alma once more. Luri successfully completes the combat segment of the exam, and when it's Maddie's turn, he confronts Guile. He refers to Maddie's father's name, expressing his desire to see how well his father instructed him in swordsmanship. The two engage in battle, and Maddie easily triumphs due to the magical enhancements he applied to his sword during the duel. The subsequent part of the exam involves target practice, where participants must launch fire arrows aimed at 5 targets. Luri is the first to go, and with her first crest, she successfully strikes all the targets, prompting Maddie to reflect on the inefficiency of the contemporary understanding of crests. For his segment of the exam, Maddie casts a fireball spell because of the limited range associated with the 4th crest. The end result creates a massive crater in the center of the examination area. Afterward, now dressed in an academy uniform, Maddie encounters Alma and Luri, with whom he attends the opening ceremony. Headmaster Edward delivers a brief speech and subsequently requests that Maddie visit his office once the ceremony concludes. Concerned that he may be expelled for the incident where he damaged the exam grounds earlier, despite having repaired them with his magic. In Edward's office, Edward recounts Maddie's achievements during the exam, but neither rebukes him nor seeks any information on how he accomplished such feats. Instead, Edward asks for his assistance regarding chantless spellcasting. This is because the Academy adheres to its curriculum, which disapproves of chantless spellcasting. This is the reason Edward desires Maddie's help. He wants him to teach chantless spellcasting in preparation for the forthcoming inter-school competition. Sometime later, Maddie showcases his chantless spellcasting to the Academy students, with another teacher named Gaizal also contributing to the demonstration. By evening, Alma shows Maddie her newly acquired chantless spellcasting abilities, and since Luri is running low on magic, Maddie transfers some of his magic to her. This enables Luri to successfully cast a chantless spell to eliminate a target. On the day of the inter-school competition, Maddie detects a demon somewhere within the arena premises. Coincidentally, Maddie confronts the demon named Devilis, who was masquerading as a human with a first crest along with his companions. Maddie swiftly dispatches the companions with a single spell and challenges Devilis to cast a spell without chanting, and concludes that the demons aim to weaken human spells. Utilizing a spell breaker, Maddie dispels Devilis' human disguise, and the now revealed demon attempts to flee, only to be defeated by Maddie before he can escape. While the students and some of the faculty gather around the lifeless form of Devilis, Luri embraces Maddie for defeating the demon in disguise. Later, at the royal castle, Maddie and Edward are granted an audience with the king, who wishes to bestow upon Maddie a fief, but such an action would incite panic throughout the kingdom. This concern primarily arises from the recent reports of demons blending in as ordinary citizens. Instead, the king fulfills Maddie's request for full rights to the treasures obtained from within the dungeon. Once this matter is settled, the king seeks Maddie's thoughts on the absence of the 4 magical chosen ones. The king expresses his belief that since the emergence of the magical chosen ones countless years ago, demons have gradually managed to infiltrate human society. From Maddie's inner reflections, during his previous life, he had driven the demons to near extinction. It is theorized that the surviving demons have embedded themselves within human society and propagated magical falsehoods, leading to a decline in humanity's magical prowess over the years. Although the king is under the impression that the demon situation has been resolved, Maddie clarifies that the problem is more serious than ever. In Maddie's view, if the demons think it is no longer necessary to disguise themselves as humans, their subsequent strategy would be to gather their forces for a full-scale assault that could obliterate the kingdom. Maddie estimates that it would take 3 months for the demons to assemble sufficient forces to undertake this endeavor. With the circumstances appearing grim, Maddie assures the king that what is essential is a barrier encompassing the entire kingdom for protection. All that Maddie requires to cast the barrier is a divine class artifact and the assistance of all second-year students to erect a permanent barrier around the kingdom. He mentions that preparations for this task can be finalized within a month's time and suggests that the students continue to practice chantless magic. Considering Maddie's words, the king designates him as the leader in the battle against the demons. Within the castle's treasure chamber, Maddie discovers several ancient artifacts he crafted in his former life. These artifacts include a magical sword and a pendant that is a magical accessory, significantly enhancing experience gained from combat. Later, outside, Maddie observes the academy students practicing chantless magic. Both Luri and Alma then approach Maddie regarding what they learned from Edward about the barrier. Maddie affirms this and states that he will be venturing into a dungeon to gather the necessary items for its completion. The revelation astonishes the two, and Maddie suddenly realizes that he should invite them to accompany him as a party for the dungeon exploration. Initially, the two hesitate to join him, citing their self-admitted insufficient combat skills, but after providing them with some advice on archery and enchantment magic, they accept the invitation. Eventually, the team arrives at the dungeon, where Maddie retrieves a small monster for them to use as target practice, helping Luri practice her newly acquired enchanted archery skills. The training continues for a while, and after Luri grasps the fundamental aspects of the thread-guided chant, Maddie assigns her the challenge of eliminating 2 monsters with a single arrow. Alone with Alma, Maddie instructs her on how to filter and combine the dungeon materials or its ore into metal. By doing so, they acquire mithril and iron clusters, and Maddie vows to teach her how to transform the newly gathered ore into enchanted weapons. Meanwhile, Luri successfully kills 3 monsters. When they regroup with Maddie and Alma, Luri observes Alma testing out some weapons she has crafted, and Luri subsequently creates some plated armor for both her and Alma. Maddie then declares that they will be advancing to the 10th floor of the dungeon, which will serve as a trial for the skills they have learned so far. On their journey to the 10th floor, both Luri and Alma demonstrate impressive combat skills and receive increased experience points because of the pendant Maddie was wearing. Soon, the group encounters a killer dog, and due to the effective teamwork between Luri and Alma, they succeed in defeating it. Once the killer wolf was taken care of, Maddie sets up camp and temporarily leaves the group to explore deeper sections of the dungeon. In one of the lower floors, Maddie discovers adamantite and becomes intrigued by the potential presence of a boss monster on the floor beneath his current location. Driven by curiosity, Maddie descends a level and confronts the boss monster, which is an arc serpent. The clash with it proves challenging, but ultimately, Maddie prevails. 2 demons sense the immense surge of magic but disregard it, as they assume that humans cannot wield such powerful magic in that era. Upon returning to the 2 women, Maddie presents them with the body of the boss monster he has vanquished, leaving them utterly astonished.
Maddie, Luri, and Alma go to the local adventurers guild to submit the items they discovered while in the dungeon. The receptionist mistakenly assumes that Maddie is the party's porter, to which he responds that he is carrying his own belongings and summons the severed head of the arc serpent from his inventory. Outside, the receptionist evaluates the arc serpent head and then the magistone obtained from the body of the boss monster. Although it is thought to be as valuable as a national treasure, Maddie asserts that it's not sufficiently large to energize the barrier protecting the kingdom. Despite the receptionist stating that the guild lacks the funds to purchase what Maddie's party has provided, they ultimately receive 750 gold. While heading back to the academy, it's agreed that the money will be divided 3 ways, and once that was arranged, Maddie notices the presence of 2 formidable demons. After a short moment, both Luri and Alma also detect it. In the sky, demons Ashril and Deshril are plotting to attack the Royal Academy. Returning to Maddie's group, Maddie assesses their strength and cautions that one of them is more powerful than Devilis. The group then splits into two, with Maddie deciding to confront Ashril, while Luri and Alma take on Deshril. Without wasting any time, Maddie confronts the two demons and takes the offensive. He manages to seize control of the fire spell aimed at him by Ashril using one of his magic control spheres and sends the spell back at Ashril. Enraged that Maddie has attacked his master, Deshril attempts to strike Maddie, but is instead hit by several arrows fired by Luri. The arrows weaken Deshril, and he is then instructed by Ashril to deal with the girls while Ashril focuses on Maddie. Facing Maddie alone, Ashril begins to cast a large spell powerful enough to destroy his control spheres, but Maddie casts a small fireball at the spell's weak point to obliterate it completely. As Maddie gains the advantage in their fight, Ashril tries to flee, but is halted by the elusive control spheres that Maddie has spread across the battlefield. When Maddie tries to strike Ashril again, he reveals the hidden spellcasting circle that he has created for his protection. The two continue to clash until Ashril decides to end it, and he is then encased in what is referred to as an occlusion orb. This orb forces Ashril to the ground, and when he attempts to cast a sacrificial spell to call forth monsters, Maddie cancels it as well. Shifting focus to the girls as they fight Deshril, their guerrilla tactics prove highly effective, and eventually Maddie intervenes to help finish off the demon. Although the demons have been defeated, the battle attracted attention from onlookers throughout the city, prompting Maddie to grab the girls and use a levitation spell to escape the scene. The next day, Maddie, Edward, Luri, and Alma are given an audience with the king, who presents Maddie with another reward for his group's recent achievement. After giving it careful thought, Maddie asks for more dungeons, and the king grants his request. Shifting his focus to the girls, the king inquires about their desires, and both Luri and Alma opt for money as their reward. Once that is settled, Maddie calls out the demon spy, covertly observing their conversation. As the demon refuses to show itself, Maddie disrupts the magical visual feed that was monitoring their discussion, causing it to scream in agony. The king identifies the voice as Elhart, the former captain of the Magic Order. Surprised by this, Maddie explains to the king how Elhart managed to execute this action. Assessing the coordinates of the location where the spell was cast, Maddie asks the king what that location is. The king replies that it is a ruined village. Even though the distance from the castle to the village is significant, Maddie has a backup plan that will enable them to reach their destination quickly. Maddie and the group then proceed to a dark and desolate area while Edward and the academy students prepare 1.5 tons of mithril in his absence for the barrier. In the desolate area, the group encounters a massive black dragon, and Maddie converses with it, revealing that it is an old friend of his from his previous life named Iris. After Maddie tends to Iris's damaged wings as best as he can, Iris allows the group to ride on her back and flies at a slow enough pace to ensure their safety during the journey.